I didn't consider how I could be of service to my community until I became a barber, and it's such a blessing. This is one specific time that I remember the moment that I realized that it is my duty, my obligation to serve my community, because my energy, my presence, my knowledge, my skill, my ability, my skill set, my godly gift in being able to connect with people through being their barber is an amazing honor. And I say that because there was a time that I did a community back to school cuts. It was very nice. It was very family oriented. There was a lot of activities for the kids, resources for the parents and families. And I was able to offer my hair cutting services for free. I wanted to do that. So I sign up. I get the details of everything, how everything's going to run. I get there and I start setting up my space. And throughout the space that we used, it was a gym, a school gym. They had some barbers in different sections of the gym. And then in between those barbers, there were activities for the kids to do. So as soon as I got done setting up, I believe I cut one small child, pretty easy going, wasn't too much, going on with the haircut, and the kid, he was pretty relaxed and chill. But the second kid, I don't remember his name, but all I know is that when I first seen him, he was very upset. I guess he was either having a bad day or he had gotten in trouble. But then I come to find out, I heard his mother or saw his mother, talking to him like very aggressively, and pretty much come to find out he just didn't want to get his hair cut because I don't know if he had a bad experience. Of course, I don't know that, but I'm assuming that's what it was, or he just was scared. So after, hearing from afar the conversation between her and him going on, I believe it was his grandmother who came over and said, "Can he have next?" And I said, "Sure, that's fine." So she went over and said, "You're next," to him. And he started getting a little bit more upset. And then also I realized his mom was getting upset because he was getting upset. And she was like, "You're just going to get it all cut off." And to me, I'm just like, that's not going to help. That's not going to make him want to go. In my head, this is what I'm saying to myself. So finally, she says what she says, and he reacts. And then his grandmother says, "It's going to be okay." And then I believe she grabbed his hand and walked him over to me. So as soon as he come over, head down, sad face, I say, "Hey, how you doing?" Trying to be uplifting, of course, and try to give him, set a tone with, how I'm going to interact with him. So finally he sits down. I begin immediately talking to him and saying, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's not going to take long as you sit still." I just small talk just to, get him acquainted with my voice, like how my tone is, like my presence, my energy. Like, it was very important to me for me to get right in there and talk to him, because I knew the uncomfortableness that he felt, and I could just see it on his face. He was just very uncomfortable and very sad and upset. So finally he kind of like started to take to me, because I was constantly talking, and I was just like saying thing after thing after thing to him. And I think the more I was talking to him, the more he was looking at what I was doing. And the best part of this whole thing was he actually let me cut his hair because I simply said, I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do step by step. And at that point, I think that kind of intrigued him because while he was looking at what I was doing, he also started to make himself more comfortable in my chair. He scooted all the way back. Then in the midst of me preparing my things, I draped him and I made sure that the cape and the neck strip were on very secure so that there would be no hair going down into his clothes, because I know how that can make kids uncomfortable and makes them start itching and moving around too much. So now that he's actually starting to ask me questions and I'm able to elaborate and just keep his questions, answered and keep him engaged with me so that as I begin to cut the hair, he's not even worried about it at that point. At this point, he's so like just paying attention to what I'm saying to him, telling starting to tell me things about himself and his siblings, which was great. And, sometimes it may not be that easy to, get to the point where a kid is now comfortable after not being comfortable. But the effort is what's gonna make or break the situation. So my effort to make him feel comfortable ended up making him feel overly comfortable. And from then on, the whole haircut was very smooth, and I continued to tell him what I was doing and what was next. I also started asking him more questions about what kind of things he likes to do. He told me he liked to play soccer. He just started to share a little bit of everything, and that was such an amazing experience to have. And then, his grandmother was sitting afar watching, and she kind of was like smiling at that point, watching him actually engage with me, which was such a relief, I'm sure, for her. But at that point, I didn't see where the mom was at all. Like, I feel like his other siblings were there, so she was probably with them. And as the haircut was coming to an end, he was totally fine. He was engaging in the conversation the whole time, and meanwhile I was still, breaking down each step that I was doing so that he would be aware of the progress of the haircut. And by this time, he's just back to just, a kid, just having a good time, just experiencing something that he once was afraid of. And it was very, very heartwarming to have been able to turn that whole situation around. Like, it made me feel like I'm so glad I was here. I was so glad that I was there. It makes me emotional to think about it. I'm just like, what if I wasn't there? He would have left. He probably would have left without a haircut. To be honest, that's how I feel. Because if you guys would have seen how bothered he was, and the whole situation with his mom being upset that he was upset, it just made the situation so much more stressful than it had to be for everyone. I thank God that I was there, and that was like one of the most memorable moments for me during community service. And for that reason alone, I will always try to make myself present in those moments, because I might find another kid or just another person that's just not comfortable with the whole barber thing, being in a barber chair. So I'm so thankful for that. Totally. I've worked with children just about a good 10, 12 years in a daycare setting. So some of the mannerisms were very familiar to me, and it's so different as I engage with children and understanding certain behaviors and patterns. It's so different in a setting of, a barbershop, of course. It's so, I don't know, it's just really, really, it hits home for me. It just makes me have a complete soft spot for the youth and wanting to make them feel comfortable at any cost. Like, that's really important to me, and being able to service my community in this way, it helps me strengthen my my purpose. It makes me see the ultimate goal. It's so important to me to stay involved, and this year I really do want to give more of myself and my time to anything community related, you know. So if anybody out there has connections to that, count me in. I'm all down. I'm all up. I'm for it. Let's go. Thank you for listening.